Hello, and thank you for joining us. It's great to have you with us. In this most unusual of years, we're doing a lot of things differently, including this State of the Campus address. Since we can't be together in person, I'm using this opportunity not only to tell you about the state of CU Denver right now, but to show you. We'll be hearing from many members of our community who have some updates and some stories to share. And what an incredible community we have. I'm now in my 5th month as Chancellor here at CU Denver. It's been a pleasure meeting with so many of you during my 100 Days Listening Tour. I met virtually with over 1,000 members of our community, students, faculty, staff, alumni, as well as employers and donors and civic leaders in our community. My overwhelming takeaway is the pride you feel. People love this place. Not that you don't see room for improvement. You shared concerns, and I heard you. And many of you shared ideas for how to make us stronger. But you are also justifiably proud of the progress that this young university has made in its 46 years as an independent campus. I was impressed with how many of you have been with us for decades, playing a major role in the tremendous growth and progress that CU Denver has experienced. And now I know so many of you want to build on our momentum and boldly shape our future. I know it might seem strange to talk about our future in the middle of the worst pandemic in over a century. And it's true that many of us are struggling right now, and we need to take care of each other as we get through multiple crises, including an escalation of COVID cases in Denver and the election aftermath. But I want to point out that this global crisis has underscored what we need for a healthy, functioning society: knowledge, scientific discovery, innovation, creative expression and talent, the ability to care for and about each other, respect diverse perspectives, and to communicate across our differences. The world needs what this urban public research university provides: educated, diverse, informed, and engaged citizens taking leading roles in our society as teachers, health workers, historians, architects, accountants, bioengineers, filmmakers, scientists, conservationists, civic leaders, and entrepreneurs. This is what we do, and we do it well. We're proud of this. And you know what else I'm proud of? The way this community has handled the COVID crisis, from the quick pivot to remote teaching and learning in the spring semester, to the careful planning for a safe return to campus in the fall that prioritized campus safety and flexibility for students. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to the remarkable staff and faculty who've managed our COVID response with creativity and with compassion for our community. I want you to hear directly from 2 people who were intimately involved in leading changes to enable our fall semester, Carrie Weatherford and Joanne Brennan, to tell us about that experience.
The overall goals of the Safe Return implementation team were to figure out a framework that we could, basically a way to get people back onto campus safely.
We tried to take a 3-prong approach, giving students and faculty the greatest flexibility to engage in an in-person class, no matter what the situation was.
A lot of people were working really hard and a lot of really long hours and making sure that you were taking care of yourself. And I think people did an excellent job of really picking each other up and supporting each other through this time.
My experience working on the task force was really extraordinary. Some of the things that resonated with me was the way in which it was truly an extraordinary effort of many hands, all pulling together with unique perspectives, expertise, vision, and innovative ideas. The way in which our faculty had to turn in an instant from in-person classes to remote, and then had to choose a new course format to deliver their courses in, and what an extraordinary effort.
What we ended up doing was going with a standard of 7-foot, 10-inch bubbles, which allowed people to be 6 feet apart, accounting for the average width of a human torso. So we went into every classroom that we were using for the fall semester, laid out those 7-foot, 10-inch bubbles, figured out where people could sit, figured out where they shouldn't sit, and then staff had to go through every room and put stickers on each seating position and indicate whether that's an area where someone should sit or an area where they should not sit.
We had to think about exactly how our faculty and our students would move around in a room. And so it required us to be innovative, to actually address technology as well, to ensure that not only did faculty have at their hands drawings of safety protocols so that they could ensure students who were in the classroom with them would be safe. It was an all-out, all hands on deck effort by the committees to support our faculty, to support our students, to do everything we could to help them be successful and to create an environment in which our educational endeavors could continue and flourish.
I can't imagine, I certainly hope we don't have to go through this again, but if we have to go through something similar, I know that we can get it done. We've got the people to get it done, and we will get it done.
Thank you, Carrie and Joanne. The way this community took our health and safety measures seriously and adapted to these strange new times gives me great confidence that we will emerge from this pandemic stronger than ever before. But before we emerge, we've got to get through it. In the same way that a virus attacks a body, COVID-19 has invaded our lives. This pandemic, the economic hardships, racial tensions, and the divided political landscape are all taking a toll. And even more so because there's no clear end date in sight. We know from surveying the community that we're facing many challenges, including trying to work and parent within a given workday. And many of you need more flexibility. So we've revised our telework policy during the pandemic, and now employees who are also having to care for relatives at home, kids, parents, or anyone else, can do so during regular work hours. We're also collectively facing a host of mental health challenges. So we've been working to acknowledge and to address them, and to bring more services and support to our campus community. And I'm announcing today that with the support from the CU Foundation, we are making an immediate $500,000 investment over the course of this academic year to meet mental health needs, including bringing more counseling services to our students and employees. We're taking 4 actions that will help provide more help quickly. First, we'll be investing in Single Stop, which is a tool that's helped students all over the country by providing a one-stop shop that connects them to resources to meet their basic needs, such as low-income housing, food stamps, and healthcare. We've heard directly from other universities that has been exceptionally helpful, and we expect that here it will help our students hardest hit by the pandemic. Second, we're bringing additional case managers onto our care team, which provides assistance to students whose behavior indicates that they're struggling. Third, we'll be providing the Counseling Practicum program in the School of Education and Human Development with technical support to expand their ability to offer counseling to our students remotely. And finally, we'll be helping the Psychology Clinic in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences with capacity support to expand their teletherapy for our students and also for our faculty and staff. Let's hear a little more about mental health and wellness during these trying times from Amber Long and Kristen Kuschmeider.
I think that we have yet to see the full effects of the pandemic and how that's going to impact our mental well-being in the long run.
The university has been really accommodating, I think, to parents in general, particularly with the new policy that was created to allow parents to be able to watch kids during the workday. As crazy as this experience being in a pandemic has been, and it was very crazy to have a baby during this time, the silver lining for me is that I'm home more. I'm not commuting, right? So I have this extra precious time is what I'll call it. From my perspective, the thing that I see people and myself, to be honest, struggling with right now is this constant state of uncertainty, not knowing what's next and having trouble projecting or focusing on the goals for the future because those targets are changing all the time.
Right now, it's okay for us not to feel okay with everything that's going on. And that's why we want to reduce the stigma around folks struggling with mental health and encourage them to get support. This is a really tough and challenging time.
Even though we're in this closed quarantine type of setting, it's still very important that we have some social connection. Our brains crave that. We need that in order to maintain our wellness and to feel good on a daily basis. As a new mom, I'm learning every day to be less, judgmental to myself about being a new mom and not always knowing the right thing and doing the right thing. But I think we can offer that grace up for other people in our life.
It's important to recognize when folks are struggling and to help support them in connecting with the resources that we have available. And I believe that energy and that desire that our campus community has to support our students wholeheartedly is something that I think every unit on campus will continue to move forward with.
Thank you, Amber and Kristen. In addition to mental health concerns we're all facing, there are the challenges of operating a university through a pandemic and adjusting to the strange new normal. For students physically on campus, there's the weirdness of reconfigured classrooms, one-way passages and corridors, social distancing that allows limited gatherings in the dorm, mask wearing in all common spaces, and so much more. And our students who are studying remotely face a different set of challenges, including isolation, spotty internet, and finding quiet spaces to study or go to class, and the frustration of not being able to hang out with classmates and friends. One big disappointment is that many of our international students have been unable to return, and we want them back. They're a vital and treasured part of our campus presence, and we really miss them. And yet we've also had triumphs. Unlike many of our peer institutions, our students overwhelmingly chose to return to their studies this year. Overall, enrollment is actually up from last year, and we've seen how they've tackled this semester as true links with grit, tenacity, and resourcefulness. They're adapting to new ways of accessing the services they need, whether it's remote advising sessions or socially distanced power yoga classes. While we would all obviously prefer to be living in a world where we could gather freely and hold in-person classes without constraint, that's just not possible right now. And my inspiration has been seeing how our indomitable faculty and staff are focusing on what is possible, coming up with creative new ways to serve students and to teach across different modalities. Budding science teachers in Bud Talbot's elementary science methods class are virtually visiting his backyard shed of science for weekly teaching demonstrations. Now able to access services like advising and tutoring virtually in the evenings, one student said, "Before this whole Zoom thing, I could never go to your tutoring sessions. With 2 kids, it was just impossible. But now, ever since I came to your session, I understand so much more. Thank you for inspiring me and for making me love physics." Imagine that. Adapting in the face of this crazy pandemic, we've fired up somebody's enthusiasm for physics. It's been a challenge, no question, but I think because we're a young university that isn't stuck in its ways, we've made advances in technology and service orientation in the past 6 months that would have taken us 6 years under normal circumstances. The really good news is that many of the innovations you've developed as pandemic adaptations are worth keeping. Let's hear from 3 people who found new ways to adapt.
COVID has really pushed us to reconsider how we operate and how we serve students. And, there have been a ton of challenges there, but there's also been those moments of like, oh, this is kind of a breath of fresh air, because I'm not sure without COVID, we would have ever approached it like this. And ultimately, I think it's going to lead to better outcomes for students.
I have no regrets with coming back during this fall. I am getting everything done.
We made the decision that the best way to be able to serve students was going to be making sure that we were up and running for the start of the fall semester.
I wanted to come to school. I knew I wanted to graduate, and being a 4th-year student, I wasn't going to let this pandemic take that away from me.
I'm so proud of the Link Central website that our digital strategies team created and launched back in July. This is a place where we can really support our students to be able to make sure that they could navigate based on what their needs were, not necessarily like the structures of how our offices are set up.
It's just been really nice to know that our professors and faculty are always looking out for us.
When the pandemic hit and we had to switch to remote, I had to start trying to think of how to make things more interesting, how to make things more accessible to students. How do I make the students want to watch a lecture? So I bought a green screen, I bought some lights. I was able to put together a little studio in my basement over the summer, and started just filming these videos and coming up with ideas for characters. And I think it's pretty unique, especially in engineering and mechanical engineering.
G'day! For today's lesson on locomotion, I'm back in my home country of Australia, observing the daily habits of kangaroos.
But so far, the students have been really positive in their response to it. I try to keep them on their toes and keep them wanting to log on and join the class and participate in the class. And I honestly think it's helped make a better connection with the students, maybe even more so than in person, that they feel like I'm more accessible and we can just talk about different topics during the class. Sometimes we talk about stuff that's not even related to class.
What we've really seen is students kind of settled in and been really focused. And that's one of the things I love so much about our students at CU Denver is there's that focus on why they're here and on their education. Whatever our new normal looks like, I think that we have found out some things about how we can really effectively engage students and educate students. That doesn't necessarily mean having to be in a physical classroom. I can't wait until the 2021 State of the Campus to see all the progress that we've made.
It's not always easy to see the silver lining, but we appreciate your perspective, Dana, Anthony, and Alexis. Thank you, and keep up the great work. I can't say enough about the way the CU Denver community has come together during this crisis, working to figure out assistance and support of every kind. Among the many challenges we've faced as an institution has of course been financial. The budget impact of COVID has been enormous, about $33 million, or 15% of our budget in this year alone. And we've done a lot to manage our way through it, including implementing graduated furloughs, which spread the impact. And even more importantly, it enabled our employees to keep their jobs. We're taking it as a team, with the highest paid taking the largest number of furlough days. This is a different approach than many of our peers and speaks to our core value of equity. Every university has taken a big financial hit from COVID, but here again, CU Denver was in a position to adapt in order to manage the change. Even pre-COVID, our budget team had been preparing the campus to deal with financial pressures in a new way. It started with the shift to an incentive-based budget model in 2017, and what's great about this model for CU Denver is that it shares more information and gives more budget decision-making authority to units. We're also shifting the way that we're approaching enrollment. I'll turn things over to our CFO, Jennifer Sobonet, for more details on budget and enrollment.
For the past 4 years, CU Denver has already been working towards creating a culture in which we can withstand crises like this and come out of them stronger than ever. Well, the forecasting process that we had to put in place this spring during COVID-19, where we have such uncertainty around the economy, around the financial situation that the institution finds itself in, there are multiple ways for us to be able to plan for this type of a situation. The tools that we've put in place and have been embraced by the community of an incentive-based budget model, the decision support toolkit, and the strategic enrollment management plan have really created a culture of joint accountability and responsibility for the financial sustainability of the institution. It gave us the opportunity to do a deep dive into our data and really understand what students are successful here and what programs are they looking for that will make them successful when they leave the university. Enrollment is the biggest driver of our financial stability and sustainability. It's what drives our budget. And the volatility of enrollment is something that we have to pay a lot of attention to because it's so important for us to be able to have a plan of what enrollment, what portfolio mix works, and then how do we create the recruitment of those students as well as the retention of those students because they belong here because of what CU Denver can do for them. What we're trying to do is offer as many online options for our non-resident students, whether they're domestic or international, so that they can continue to have access to their education so that they keep going on the plans that they had set out for themselves before COVID-19. I am most optimistic that this Links community will come out of the COVID-19 pandemic stronger, more resilient, and more focused on what we can do for our community, our students, and ourselves.
Thank you, Jennifer. COVID is dealing an economic blow not just to our university, but to many individuals within our community. With the help of the Loving Links Fund, which provides emergency financial support to our students, we've heard from students that the fund kept a roof over their head and helped many of them stay safe as they work to complete their degrees. And here's the thing about this fund. Much of its support comes from our own faculty and staff giving. I am so impressed by this, just how much our faculty and staff care about our students' lives beyond academics. And for our faculty and staff who are experiencing temporary setbacks, this fall we established the CU Denver Employee Emergency Relief Fund, which is accessible on the HR website. While we're on the subject of giving, I'd like to acknowledge the generosity of many of our committed donors who are making a huge difference at CU Denver through support of our programs, our faculty, and particularly our students. In a community where 47% of our students are Pell eligible and 35% of students' households earn less than $33,000 per year, a scholarship can literally change a life. To show you what I mean, let's take a look at some student reactions to hearing that they were awarded a scholarship from the bequest of former Chancellor Georgia Lesch-Laurie.
A recipient of the Chancellor Georgia Lesch-Laurie Scholarship.
Wait.
I am letting you know that you are a recipient of the Chancellor Georgia E. Lesch-Laurie Scholarship.
You're kidding.
You were selected as a recipient of the Chancellor Georgia E. Lesch-Laurie Scholarship.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You won the scholarship.
Are you serious?
A recipient of the Chancellor Georgia E. Lesch-Laurie Scholarship. Congratulations.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. That's incredible to hear. Wow.
During the summer, I worked a full-time job. I've been saving everything. I worked as a senior in high school as well, after school, and I've been practically saving up everything just to put it towards college. All the money I've made definitely goes straight to my education because that is the most important thing in the world to me.
Being able to cut out full-time work up here in Vail would be just absolutely life-changing. Like I said, be able to go down there, move to the Front Range, and commit back to school full-time rather than being full-time school and full-time work. It would just be so meaningful to me to be able to focus on my schoolwork.
Mother lost her job. I am a triplet, so my parents trying to help pay for 3 college tuitions was just kind of out of the question. They work so hard and they just want the best for me to have an education.
My dad just recently graduated college for his military schooling, and it was really hard for him to go to school because both of my parents don't really speak English that well. And them sending me to college, especially for art, was a really big risk, and I want to make it up to them and ensure that I can do something this hard.
Since I was 16, so since I was able to start working, I got a job because I knew that it was going to be really hard to make money. Since my mom, she works at McDonald's and my dad is a construction worker, it's going to be really hard to be able to have enough money to go to college.
Where I've come from has been, I'm not really a sugarcoater. I've come from a really hard background. I come from abuse and addiction, and I've been really trying to find my place in the world. I've done a lot of inward growth over the past couple years. I think from working independently, getting my hands in the earth, and really finding my place, and really feeling like I matter, and that I have so much to offer.
Currently I'm working with the Colorado Department of Higher Education on a few different things, so it's great to just be able to have all these different experiences that can really figure out where I need to be and what I can do in my life to make the greatest impact for students, for people that look like me, who sound like me, who don't have access to education.
And to be a leader, to be someone that other people could look up to and to come to when they're in times of need, and to really be kind of a pillar of the community. And so I think receiving a scholarship like this, I mean, it's a huge responsibility, but it's also a huge honor, because you're getting to go around and continue her legacy and say, I'm receiving this scholarship, I'm able to have this opportunity to continue my education, and it's because of this amazing woman.
I've been nervous and planning and thinking and just like trying to not worry, because it doesn't matter no matter what. I was like, no matter what, everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna commit, you're gonna do it, everything's gonna work. But hearing that is just like months of stress and planning, just relief.
I've worked so hard. You have no idea how hard I've worked to get to where I am today. Things have been kind of rough sometimes, but I just keep plugging away, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And that's what I hope to do for other people, is just help them keep putting one foot in front of the other.
So, I feel like I've never won anything in my life. Like, I mean, maybe like bingo or something, but oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm sorry.
Makes me very happy. I just think about all the people that I can help going forward. So it's very humbling. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is insane. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you. If you're watching this, this means so much.
Now I'd like to shift gears a bit from how we've managed through COVID to how we've continued to pursue our mission during this extraordinary year. The lifeblood of our operation, our faculty, have long demonstrated their commitment to solving problems facing our city, our state, and beyond. And now more than ever, our world needs their ideas, their discoveries, and their creative works. And here's the remarkable thing. With all that our faculty had to do this year, coping with COVID like the rest of us, and having to quickly figure out new ways of teaching and connecting with their students, they're continuing to lead in their fields and to be recognized across disciplines for their extraordinary contributions. Here are just a few examples.
So the Genomic Innovator Award is a research grant for early career investigators from the Human Genome Research Institute. And this is to fund people who are doing very collaborative, impactful research and to fund their research over the next 5 years. So the processes that I use to explore this area consist both of large, huge health and genetics data sets, and then a lot of statistical approaches. What I'm really passionate about is not only by creating this new software and these methods to create more equitable and useful access of these large genetic data, are we improving this for African Americans and Latinx, but it turns out that the more we know about genetics across everybody, the more insight we have into cardiovascular disease and diabetes, and it helps everybody with those diseases.
We received the NSF grant just to basically run the learning community, the ambassador, the STEM ambassador programs that they had. So my idea was to bring more of kind of hands-on applications. Yes, you study calculus, but there's a reason, there's an application of calculus in engineering, and just give them a bit of the sense of what an engineering degree entails, and how they can stick to the fundamentals and at the same time have some fun. And it was nothing but a pure success.
My research really arose when I started teaching a class called Music Cities here at the College of Arts and Media. It was the first class in the world, actually, in higher education, to discuss music scenes and local music economies. And we found that once we could do professional development in the community, we helped musicians become better acquainted with the community, but also learn more about the very complex music business. The local community benefits from our research because when we can educate more folks about the music ecosystem and what they can do to support it by putting on festivals, for instance, that are inclusive events that bring people together, by understanding the policies that are made by our governments that can affect the music industry and how they can better advocate when those situations come up to get those policies to be more music friendly, if you will. When we provide them with the tools, they are able to, thrive.
So why does awesome research happen here? Because I think we have a supportive environment, right? So a supportive environment from the administration and for the students and for the faculty creates a scenario that's collaborative, and collaboration with a diverse set and a diverse team is always going to be better.
I am so proud to be part of CU Denver community, and I think our students will appreciate that when they graduate. That's what happened to me.
Thanks to all of you. We're so proud of your work and that of all of our incredible faculty. Now let's talk a little bit about our students. From the moment we were founded, CU Denver has been serving adult and working students. And still today, the majority of our students are either adult learners, working students, or both. We understand the importance of offering flexibility to students who have competing demands. For 20 years, CU Denver has been in the online learning space, so it's not surprising that we're poised to do even more. Across America, the demand for high-quality online education is increasing as the adult student market grows and the 18 to 22-year-old student market is declining. In Colorado alone, there are 800,000 people over the age of 25 who've dropped out or stopped out of college without earning a college degree. And they're often juggling work and family obligations. Online learning offers the flexibility that they need. We've been witnessing a job market that's shifting and changing due to advances in technology and healthcare and science. And the impacts of COVID-19 are accelerating much of this change. And even those with college degrees find themselves needing to reskill, upskill, or change professions entirely. And we need to be ready to be lifelong learning partners with our students who will think of education not as something to do between high school and a first job, but as something to move in and out of over the course of a lifetime. This includes undergraduate and graduate degrees, but also credentials and stackable courses that allow people to access education when and how they need it. And we're doing some of this now. And to be relevant and competitive in our market, we need to do more of it. We'll be building on our expertise in online and digital pedagogy to create a campus-wide strategy for online and hybrid education, and we'll be engaging our community in the discussion. This effort will get a boost from the CU system, which is making an investment in supporting the campuses to scale online programming. Luckily, we have a running start. We've set a goal of launching some additional programs in fall 2021, and it's an ambitious timeline, and there's a lot to do between now and then. But I'm confident that we can do it, especially because we have such a solid base from which to build. Let's hear now from some of the people who've been developing that base.
So our School of Education and Human Development in CU Denver, to me, is a leader. And not only in the state, but nationally. The things that they're doing, it's impressive. It really is. And I talk to other colleagues that are at other universities, and they're so jealous of what we're able to accomplish because of the leadership and the freedom to explore, and because of our commitment to our community. Whether that community is in the Denver metro area or statewide in our rural regions, we really are committed to helping teachers and helping education across the state.
Yes, I think the advancements that we have seen in online education over the years have really allowed us to cater to both traditional students and non-traditional students.
Aspire to Teach is an alternative licensure pathway for folks who are career changers that want to go into teaching, and they earn a paycheck while they are learning to teach and go through our program at the same time. We actually are a fully online program. We started in 2013, And so we have been using digital technologies since the onset of our program.
The flexibility that online offers really serves the different needs of our students. We see a lot of students that are working adults and they're coming to us mid-career to go back to school and to further their education, and the flexibility of online really caters to that need.
For rural work specifically, I mean, we couldn't be doing this work without technology, without the digital technologies. To me, at the heart of our program is relationships. So when we think about technology and how to use technology, we use it in relational ways. Using Zoom, because we can't meet face-to-face, allows us to have those interactional conversations with them and be able to help them with the problems of practice or just even emotional support with what they're going through.
I think the business school is performing so well in large part due to our new online offerings. This fall, we have students in 33 different states enrolled in our fully online programs, as well as all over the state of Colorado. They see that commitment from our faculty, and our students are very happy. They're happy with the courses that they're getting. They're happy with the education they're receiving. And I think, that is due to our faculty and to their commitment to online education.
Thanks for leading the way, Suzanne and Emily. We've talked about how the pandemic is not affecting everyone equally. People of color are also bearing a disproportionate impact. In addition, we've seen a resurfacing of issues of racial justice across this country and right here at CU Denver, and calls to confront systemic inequities. At this pivotal time, it's not enough for us to tout our diverse student body or our values and believe we've met our responsibility in addressing racial bias and equity. We need a comprehensive approach to tackle these issues in a thoughtful, holistic, and systemic way. And we need to act. That's why I spent my first 10 days on the job listening to the community specifically on equity and racial justice, and what I heard from you informed a number of commitments and actions we're taking. In September, we launched the search for a CU Denver-specific Vice Chancellor of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I appointed the director of our Ethnic Studies program, Professor Faye Coronin, as our first ever faculty fellow to advise me and my leadership team and to work on projects on areas of concern to underrepresented members of our community. We also worked with Auraria to establish a community advisory board to the Auraria Campus Police Department. And to delve deeper into the core of our challenges, just last month I launched the CU Denver Equity Task Force. This group will be evaluating structural barriers to the hiring and promotion of underrepresented faculty and staff, and how we close the achievement gap. By the end of March, they'll develop recommendations on an ambitious action plan to determine where we should be investing our resources to achieve the equity we all value and aspire to. Let's hear a bit more from some members of the task force.
The DEI Task Force is a group of staff, students, and faculty from across the university who are thinking about ways to make the university more inclusive.
The people who comprise the task force, I believe, truly mirror this campus community.
I'm one of 3 advisors for the task force. Diversity, equity, and inclusion helps us move from having a diverse population into making that population feel welcome and included, and having everyone be on an equal footing.
The goal of the Equity Task Force is to dig deep into the needs of the university in terms of how we need to create a better climate and a better culture of acceptance and inclusion.
In my view, the resources that our task force needs in order to be successful is the strong commitment of each of our members first. But in addition to the membership on the task force, in order to help us be successful in our work of identifying recommendations, we also need to hear broadly from the entire campus community.
A lot of people are beginning to pay attention to the systemic inequities that exist here in our country. And because more people are paying attention, more people want to do something about it. I think a small thing that everyone can do as a start is to just be more patient and understanding with one another.
Hear people's experiences, believe people, especially those who've been ignored, and then speak And be truthful about your experiences, be truthful about your beliefs, but don't reduce it to competition that some can win and others must lose in order for some to win. I think that thinking that not everyone can have what they want on a diverse campus is really outdated, problematic, and it holds up some of the structures that hopefully our task force will help to tackle as we work on these recommendations.
We want to make recommendations to the Chancellor that will have traction and that will create change and that will embed the values of equity within this university.
I think that we will do a really good job of making strong recommendations, but whether the needle actually moves will depend on whether in the adoption of our recommendations there is consistent and thorough follow-through attached to resources and some benchmarks and metrics along the way.
They will come to us for advice on, okay, how does this work? Or, given your knowledge about all the different pieces across the university, how might we try to implement it? So
I think we're going to come up with a lot of recommendations for this task force, for the Chancellor and university leadership to create good, lasting change.
there is a strong commitment, a strong desire. Everyone wants to pursue DEI work, do that work, do it together. But I think that there's not a sense of, what does that mean for the entire university? What is that unifying vision, and how can we all contribute to that together? And I really believe that the Equity Task Force will be able to, put together a vision from all of its different constituents on the task force and have that vision guide us in this work.
What we want to do is seize on the opportunity to make change. And my hope is that that change is going to be significant.
I am the parent of 2 children, ages 11 and 15. What gives me hope about CU Denver is that we actually have the possibility that this will be the university that my children choose to enroll in. Not because their dad works here, but because it's the kind of campus that affirms them, that challenges them, that welcomes them, that makes them feel as though they belong and are capable. And that's important for me, for my own children.
But I love being at CU Denver in part because it is a young institution and one with tremendous potential to grow, one that can be innovative, that in many ways, I don't want us to play catch up, I want us to leapfrog and be at the forefront of where we can be in terms of urban campuses. And I think we have great potential to do that.
Let's talk about another critical area for us, entrepreneurship. First, let me share some context. Denver, the city and the region, has long been a national leader in developing new business ventures. Inc. magazine cites Denver as the 4th best place to start a business and the city with the 2nd highest rate of entrepreneurship. With a generous gift from Jake Jabs, the business school has expanded programs for entrepreneurship education, and other colleges have made advances in innovation, creativity, and design thinking as a core part of their education. So think about it this way. We're located in the heart of an entrepreneurial hub of the country. We have one of the most diverse student bodies in the country, and we know how to provide students with an entrepreneurial mindset. What would happen if we found a way to provide all of our students with exposure to this mindset, to design thinking, and to creative approaches to developing new ideas, new solutions, new products, and new services? And what if we made this education available to others in our city? I met recently with school district superintendents for whom we had provided a training program on an entrepreneurial mindset, and they thought it was one of the best professional development experiences they have ever had. So what if we provided broader access to entrepreneurship education and programs, providing these kinds of skills and mindset to more of our diverse student body, to our future engineers, urban planners, sociologists, principals, chemists, to more women, to more students of color, to more veterans, more data analysts, more neuroscientists, more hospital administrators. Just imagine the surge of businesses, the ideas, the solutions that could emerge. Solutions that we need to strengthen our economy, to solve our challenges, to create jobs, to improve our institutions. Here's a bit more about entrepreneurship from the director of the Jake Jabs Center for Entrepreneurship, MP Parthasarathy.
CU Denver has done a lot to cultivate entrepreneurs so far. For example, our Jake Jabs Center has several experiential events. We have probably the #1 university-led business plan competition in the state. We also have a resident venture fund so that students actually learn the intricacies of angel investing and venture investing. But it's always a combination of academics and entrepreneurs that get together to provide students with the best experiential learning that they can. And so we try to bring people into CU Denver and thereby include everyone from the community. You would think that during the pandemic, there would be less interaction with the business community, but they've actually stepped up and they've been more concerned about our education and more willing to step up to mentor students and so on and so forth. So far, we've done a lot within the business school, but our goal and our vision is to include all other schools in the Denver campus. There's a lot of creativity and innovation taking place around campus. The thing that's lacking is the connection between this innovation and business education, because many of these creators don't know how to market their creation or how to monetize their creation. So I think that when all these other great innovative programs get together with an entrepreneurship school or an entrepreneurship program like the Jake Jab Center for Entrepreneurship, there's a lot of synergy.
Thank you, MP. As CU in the city, we've long made our location a core part of our identity. And with good reason. As I'm learning more every day, Denver's a really cool place to live and work. In fact, it's number 2 on the latest U.S. News and World Report's list of best places to live. Our employees want to work here, and our students want to learn here. Talk about a built-in asset. And throughout the university, we have many partnerships in the city with businesses, government entities, nonprofits, education partners, and more. This access gives our students a leg up in internships, real-world projects, and career connections. The way we engage our partners shapes our identity and could either help or hinder our priorities for research, experiential learning, fundraising, recruiting, and quality academic programming. But partnership is a two-way street. We have a special role to play in helping address issues in the city of Denver. We need to engage with our city in a more meaningful way, do more listening to what employers need, and better communicate our value to the community. And we need to develop a campus-wide approach to the creation and the growth and the nurturing of our partnerships. Let's listen in to Nolvert Chavez and Scott Dawson as they discuss our ongoing partnership efforts.
So City Center is our front door, and it's where we engage with the community and bring to bear the expertise of our faculty, staff, and students. The potential for City Center and our engagement with the business community, with the city, and with the nonprofit community is really endless.
You know, I think all great cities need great universities, and all great cities need great business schools. Pure and simple, and we're not going to do that all by ourselves. I mean, a partnership works because both people are getting something out of it. So what would they get out of a partnership with a business school? Primarily, they're getting talent.
Our students deserve the opportunity to get real-world experience on tough issues that they're going to face in the workforce. And by partnering with industry, by partnering with cities, the community, they get that real-world experience, and it makes all the difference in their careers.
We're part of a growing, exciting community that we can partner with and grow with. It's an incredibly exciting opportunity.
The deans you're going to hear from next are among our very top talent, and they're going to share with you examples of partnerships within the community that they're very proud of, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say.
Universities have been historically kind of siloed by disciplines, and usually that's artificial. I mean, there are reasons why you might do it, but the problems that permeate our society today are not solvable really by taking one of those silos. You need to look across all of them and bring the expertise and information to bear from many of them to actually solve these problems. With big challenges, there are more opportunities to bring our academic research to bear, to bring our teaching to bear, to change it a little bit in ways that are important, about the problems that we're facing, and this, the challenge of those rising up to become more important on the political agenda.
Right now, we're doing some really exciting, innovative work in the early childhood space with community-based organizations where there's a huge shortage of childcare, early childhood, qualified and prepared teachers. We are engaged this year in a grant with 3 very large childcare systems in Denver, and we work with them at their workplace using their classrooms as their learning laboratory. They simultaneously build the practice quality of those teachers while they earn credits in our degree program. And we're actually applying for a state grant to expand that, to scale it up, because it's been really successful and exciting, and we think that it answers some of those problems of access.
We have a really interesting partnership going on now. It started back in March and April when we had the stay-at-home order. And you might remember at that time, the streets were empty. Well, the city of Denver had this idea, well, we don't need all these streets for cars. Let's temporarily repurpose them for people. So they become almost like an extension of the park space. We're calling it Eden, which stands for Eco Design Denver. And this fantastic network is connecting our neighborhoods. It's creating more public space for people, and it's making the city greener and cleaner.
We've been working on this Smart City Alliance, which is a metropolitan Denver and beyond set of local governments that want to, move in the next steps forward around smart cities, which means data, which means smart transportation, which means sensors picking up environmental pollution around schools and adjusting recess schedules, when kids are in school around that. And so all these bringing technologies to the urban experience is one example of a partnership that we've had with my school and architecture and planning and engineering.
We certainly have to be responsive every step of the way. Year by year, things change and we have to respond.
So we've had for a long time a little tagline called Lead, Solve, Change. And so that's what we think our graduates can do, that we're training them in leadership skills that they can help lead our city and our state. And the way they'll lead that is to help with the information they have to solve these problems.
And the more people we engage in these projects, the better the projects get, the better the chances that they're going to be implemented. And of course, the better the chances that they're going to have a positive impact on us as individuals, us as communities, and on the places that we live.
At the beginning of our time together, I mentioned how much I enjoyed meeting many of you in my first 100 days of listening sessions. I received 5,000 suggestions from the community, both internal and external, which contained many ideas. As I listened and read back over notes from these sessions, a number of themes emerged. I want to share what I heard from so many of you. You told me that CU Denver is a special place. We are scrappy, we are passionate and mission-driven. We are proud of how far we've come in such a relatively short history. But we're not perfect. I also heard that not everyone feels included, and that sometimes it seems like we aren't all working in the same direction. And that under pressure to forge ahead, we don't always remember the people side of change. Together, we must do the work to create the culture we want and embrace our values so that every person at CU Denver experiences a sense of belonging and flourishes. Everything else follows from this. Over and over, I heard that we need to get really clear about our identity. That means having thoughtful discussions about who we serve, how we differentiate ourselves, and what we want to be known for. We'll need to come to consensus on what it actually means to be a public urban research university in the heart of downtown Denver, and leaning into that distinction as we tell our story. There's no doubt that the CU Denver community is committed to student success. I am so inspired by our students' determination and by the resolve of our faculty and staff to support their journey. And as many of you acknowledged, we have work to do to ensure that every student has what they need from us. We must continue to strive for an unambiguous student-centered approach to student success and hold ourselves accountable for delivering. Our values and core identity are centered around equity and fostering a diverse educational community. We consider these to be among our greatest strengths. At this pivotal moment, we know that we need a comprehensive approach on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a long way to go. It won't always be easy, and I'm committed to making the hard decisions. If we really want to change things, we have to prioritize DEI in all its forms in every decision we make. I know now that I can count on this community to be all in with me. Many of you brought up our location in downtown Denver as a primary advantage, especially for attracting student, faculty, and staff talent and creating partnerships that have a real impact. You expressed a desire to strategically expand and coordinate our partnerships such that we create better outcomes for our students and the community. I heard from our partners that they too want to engage in deeper and more intentional ways. They really want to know who we are and what we're up to. In order to be a preferred partner, we must listen to the needs of employers and the city and help them understand how to tap into our talent. CU Denver is rooted in the idea that education should meet the needs of society. The commitment to providing quality, relevant, and innovative programs remains strong here. Through this commitment, I heard the clear desire from both faculty and students to improve the student learning experience through advances in pedagogy, a focus on faculty development, and flexible modalities that meet the needs of adult and working learners. And to do this, we must support our faculty to build new education models and work with employers and leaders outside CU Denver to align programs to the economic demands in our city and state. I heard your passion around research, scholarship, and creative activity, and the ways CU Denver's application of knowledge has real, tangible impact, locally and globally. This work matters as an engine of economic mobility and innovation. But you also shared with me a number of factors that have inhibited the growth of our research enterprise. As a faculty member myself, I recognize the critical nature of that enterprise to recruiting and retaining faculty talent. If we want to take CU Denver to the next level, a thriving and forward-thinking research engine must be at the center of our university, and I look forward to working with you to determine how we create an entrepreneurial ecology within which to grow our research, scholarship, and creative activities. Your collective opinion is that our people are one of our greatest advantages, and I wholeheartedly agree. I was inspired by the praise that faculty and staff offered one another for being unambiguously dedicated to our students and unselfishly quick to support colleagues. Many of you shared the challenges that have come with navigating simultaneous crises over the last 6 months, while doing your best to balance it with all of your work. And we must do even more as an institution to invest in and to recognize the value of people who make us great at what we do. Universities are complicated organizations, which for us is compounded by our intricate relationships with CU Anschutz, the Auraria campus, and the CU system. As you described it, I heard a mix of frustration, cautious optimism, untapped potential, and confusion. I heard about people spending a lot of time and energy managing the complexities of these relationships. I want to work with you to realize the benefits of these partnerships and minimize the aggravation. I'll need your best ideas to make this happen. Another note here, you raised the tremendous potential of the partnership we have with CU Anschutz as a sister campus just 8 miles away, and you'd like to see us do more to leverage this partnership in both our research enterprise and our health profession curricular offerings. In nearly every session, I heard concerns about our financial future. There are many unknowns as we navigate the social and economic effects of the pandemic and major disruptions that have jarred higher education to its core, and we don't know how much we can rely on state and federal funding. We are heavily tuition-driven, and we will need to have a more strategic position on enrollment management. We need to continue to invest in our students, our mission, and our people. To build back even stronger after this pandemic, we need to get our priorities in order, think about new streams of revenue, and make hard decisions, which is what we will do together. You can read the full report of what I heard on my website. Thank you for your honest, open appraisal of our situation. Our discussions have given me the opportunity to assess, with the fresh eyes of a newcomer, where we are today and where we need to focus our efforts from here. One of my main takeaways was that while many of you said how proud you are of CU Denver's progress, nobody said we're finished. Unlike many other places that aren't as innovation-minded, everyone said we have to go to the next level. We just need to determine what that is. So what's next? We're going to be building on these themes and on the momentum of the good work we've just been discussing to undergo a strategic planning effort that will chart CU Denver's future. I anticipate that these themes will help focus our planning process and spur even more creative and innovative thinking to build upon our strengths and the vital work that has already been done. Why create a strategic plan now? Higher education is changing. Even before the pandemic, it was under attack for being too expensive, not relevant, too disconnected from employers, and hard to access. It's true that it is more expensive for students to go to college now. The decline in state support for higher education over the past few decades has been steady across the country, and particularly steep here in Colorado, which ranks 49th in state funding for higher ed. That means, of course, that the cost has shifted to the students, which is why student debt has become such a problem. And that also means that too many opt out or drop out. Some companies are offering technical credentials as a faster, cheaper alternative. And yet we know that those who obtain college degrees are faring much better than those who don't, in terms of lifetime earnings, well-being, and many other facets of life. And this difference is even more pronounced during the current economic downturn. We also know that recovering from the pandemic's societal and economic impacts is going to require big ideas, innovative solutions, and an educated, adaptable workforce. These are the things that CU Denver can provide. But in order to do that, we need people to know that we're here, what we stand for, and why a CU Denver education is a worthwhile investment. This will require us to think strategically about what differentiates us from the rest of the pack. Our last strategic plan was created in 2007 and charted a path to a consolidated entity with Anschutz and to becoming a world-class medical institution. And to the credit of many, Anschutz has been growing along that path, and thank goodness, because we need their medical expertise more than ever right now. And though there has been tremendous progress, other parts of our joint plan weren't realized, as especially CU Denver's full potential as an urban research university. We need a new vision and a strategy for getting us there, one that differentiates us. Because this country, this state, and this city needs a thriving university that serves a student body that reflects the diversity of our growing population. It needs a university that keeps education affordable and that measures itself on inclusivity, not exclusivity. A university that understands how to weave itself into the fabric of its city, strengthening social and economic mobility for families, diverse talent pipelines for employers, research that contributes solutions to our society, ideas that become new businesses, and creative work that advances our culture. We are the most diverse public research university in Colorado. Our urban location provides built-in relevance and a huge entrepreneurial community. People want to live here and go to school here. It's a combination of strengths that few universities have. Our grand challenge is to take advantage of all of this to provide students with what is needed now and into the future: quality, affordability, flexibility, transferability, and stackability of credentials, and to embody this in a succinct, exciting set of ideas that propels the institution forward. So now is our moment. And right now, we need to envision our future and the role each of us will play in shaping it. We need a vision for CU Denver 2030 that celebrates our past and, building upon our strengths, dares to design our future. Marty Dunn, our engineering dean, has agreed to lead our strategic planning process. He's a seasoned academic with a lot of experience in Colorado and globally in education, research, and innovation. He understands design thinking and enterprise strategy, and I have confidence that he can run an inclusive process to get our campus involved in this effort. Let's hear from him now.
I'm honored to have the opportunity to lead the strategic planning process because it's so important and it's so exciting. Maybe even more so, I'm excited about the opportunity to bring our community together and challenge kind of existing mindsets and paradigms in the way that we think about kind of a university and the way a university works. We've started to lay out the process, building on the results of the 100 Days of Listening tour. It'll be quite ambitious. It'll go starting in mid-November and extend through the end of May. The way we've laid out the process is in a series of phases. We're going to engage kind of really interesting questions around our mission, our vision, our values, and our identity. And we're going to seek to bring the community together to kind of reset as necessary what those are and use that as a lens to look through as we carry out the rest of the strategic planning process. After the activities that help us build the common ground, we're going to break into parallel groups of teams that are going to focus on various themes that we've selected that have the opportunity to guide us to transformational thinking about the future of the university and how we can differentiate ourselves in our strategy going forward. The process will be fast. We'll be done by the end of May. And that's going to challenge us in other ways. It's going to, again, challenge ways of traditional academic thought and paradigms of operations. In order to realize these ambitions, then we need our entire community to participate. We're really seeking creativity, bold thinking, and ambitious and innovative ideas. We need everybody's voice to be heard, and we need you to know that we're listening to you. It's an opportunity that we have to come together as a community and think through what the future of our university looks like.
After COVID-19, we will not be returning to pre-pandemic way of life, but to a changed world. Throughout the pandemic, though, this community has shown its ability to rise to a higher level. We can use that same dedication and innovative spirit to boldly shape CU Denver's destiny. And we need to, because what we do matters. We have limitless potential to make our impact on our students, on our society, on the world. And that's why I was attracted to CU Denver in the first place, and why I'm so honored to become your chancellor. Like you, I was impressed by our public urban research university mission and our deep commitment to the public good. And to emerge from the pandemic and to address the inequities it's revealed will require innovation, ingenuity, intelligence, and integrity, all of which we've got. And united in shared purpose, we can realize our full potential. So now you've heard why I think it's important. Let's end with why you do.
I love a lot of things about CU Denver.
I love that CU Denver is downtown.
It's in this incredible location.
I love the campus.
It's just such a unique place to be in the higher education world.
CU Denver is thriving.
One of the biggest reasons I love CU Denver is in fact because of its diversity.
Diverse.
The diversity.
Diversity.
I love the diversity.
Yeah, what I love about CU Denver is our students.
Because they're curious and they're fascinating and they're energetic.
They work really hard.
And they're good humans.
CU Denver is special.
I love that CU Denver has a can-do attitude.
CU Denver is creative.
What I love about CU Denver is the community.
Exciting community.
CU Denver is innovative.
I like the people I work with.
It's that coming together, living together, and learning from one another. CU Denver is the future.
CU Denver is home.